Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist in Las Vegas and Joe Mack in hot and sweltering New York, although it's cooled off a little bit today, Joe.
It has, and it feels like football weather, so it's pretty cool that we're talking right now, and obviously we got a big college weekend, and we got the NFL straight ahead after that miserable preseason. The games are unwatchable for the most part, but I'm very excited now, Jim. Going to be a big season, and like I said, we got a full card straight ahead on this Labor Day weekend.
What do you got today over the weekend, Joe? What do you have up and ready to sell?
Well, we're going to wind up having plenty of winning plays. We're not giving out every game on the card. We see some of these people that do that. That's crazy. We're going to stick to some big plays. We definitely have a couple of big underdog winners ready for Jim Hurley's network. All that folks have to do is check us out at 1-800-323-4453. That's 1-800-323-4453. We got a couple of nice underdog plays coming. We had a nice winner last night. We did not get scared by the line move. We had Northwestern. All week we liked them. They were +3 to start the week. They wound up going off -1 or 1.5. We held on. It was a little crazy because they didn't score a single point in the second half, but we still were able to hold on for the win. But we really like this card, so people should check it out. Got a couple of high-profile games, couple of nice games, and we're certainly going to be checking in on Michigan Notre Dame. We're going to have something on that one. So 1-800-323-4453, Jim Hurley Network.
All right, and what did we learn from the preseason, if anything?
Oh, boy. You know what? Overall, what we learned, Jim, is that more and more coaches don't want to put any of their starters, especially quarterbacks, in any kind of position to get hurt. I mean, let's face it, what we saw with the Bears last weekend was a little strange where, you know, they've got a second-year quarterback. The kid certainly could use some work, but the new head coach, Matt Nagy, decided to sit Mitchell Trubisky, and that was a little different. But I tell you the truth, I think that's going to be the way of the future. I don't think, especially we've seen these contracts, obviously guys like Aaron Rodgers and Cousins have gotten big money in the last couple of months. We're not going to see much play. I mean, they've got to do something with these preseason games, Jim. I mean, they're tough to watch. There's really obviously there's never been urgency with it. But even now, the whole point used to be, you know, get your young players, your inexperienced players in there so they can get 30, 35 snaps. Well, that's seemingly is less important. So they've got to do something. I mean, I know it provides inventory for us in our business, and you would think watching football on a Thursday or Friday night in the summer is nice, but they've got to do something because right now they've just got way too many guys. I mean, look, right here in New York, I know Odell Beckham had his contract thing finally settled this week, but he didn't play a single play in the preseason. They didn't rush the kid Barkley back after he tweaked the hamstring. So, you know, you're really basically getting a lot of, it's like going to a Broadway show and the entire cast is the backup. So that's what you're getting from the preseason.
I love the analogy. Yeah, we'll probably see less preseason games and perhaps more regular season games if the union and the league can get it together, which will probably take about 10 years to do. But anyway, it was interesting. We had a winning preseason. That's good. And we you know, of course, we depend on a lot of information, so that helps us. They are impossible to watch, really. But we got college football, which is starting off well, and that's always exciting. We got, 10, 12 weeks of that. Then the bowl games. We're in a good position. Then the NBA will come in, the college hoops will come in. It's an exciting time of the year. And as far as this weekend is concerned, there's horse racing on the card. There's college football on the card. There's no more pro football until next Thursday, which is a big game. Atlanta at Philadelphia, which is the champs, of course. And there's a lot of question marks there about the quarterback situation for the Eagles. However, we've got a baseball race going on. What do you see in baseball?
Well, I think it's interesting because you got in the NL West, those teams, they could just all jump each other at any moment now between Arizona, Colorado, and the Dodgers. You're just looking for a little consistency. I mean, the Rockies have been a little streaky. Arizona has been real streaky for the most part. And the Dodgers, I think they thought bringing in Manny Machado was going to cure all their ills. And he hit, a handful of home runs. But honestly, from what I've seen, he's hit a few of his home runs when the game was out of reach one way or the other. I think they thought he would lengthen that lineup and firm it up a little bit better. I still think the Dodgers are probably going to win that West, but it looks right now like that's going to be the best race out here. I know on this side of the country, there's people hoping that the Yankees just hang in there so that the 6 games in September with Boston means something, but it's looking less and less likely. The Yankees are really paying the price right now for their injuries. Judge has been out longer than they thought. Sanchez, the catcher, is out. He was having a miserable year anyway. So it looks like Boston is going to wind up basically coasting to the number 1 seed in the American League. But I think there's a team in each league, that are both going to make the playoffs that are going to be very scary. The Indians, I think, are going to be very scary. I think they realize their bullpen situation's a bit of a mess. Andrew Miller's on the DL again. But I think if they can get one more arm out in that bullpen, and they might get it today on the last day of the waiver wire, they could be really a pain in the neck in the postseason. And in the National League, where the Cubs look like they're going to coast to the number 1 seed, I really think watch out for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they're opening up a little distance on Philadelphia. The young players are playing with no fear. They're very athletic. They all go first to third all the time. I've seen it enough against my Mets team. And they've got pop. And their pitching is probably better than anyone thought. So, again, maybe you can't call teams dark horses, but certainly if you were looking at teams that are probably going to go all the way, you'd have to go down the line a few teams before you really thought Cleveland or Atlanta. And right now, those teams, I'm keeping an eye on them. They're, they both look like they're going to make the postseason, and they both could give higher-seeded, favored teams a real run for their money.
What do you think about the Dodgers at this point? They started off slow, made a big comeback. Their bullpen, Jansen's been a mess. How does that look to you? Are we going to? I know we're always potentially looking at a replay or repeat of last year with Houston and the Dodgers in the World Series.
Right. I was thinking that about a month ago. You and I did a show, and I thought at that time, as hot as the Red Sox were, my feeling was, I would not be at all surprised if we saw a Dodger after a repeat. But, we're a month deeper into the season, and the Dodgers, I don't know, they don't give me all that much confidence. Like I said, they sometimes get well-pitched games, and they get nothing out of it. And as you said, the back of the bullpen, it's the problem. I mean, poor Jensen and his health issues is a big problem, and they really haven't had anybody else plug that spot in for him. And I don't know. They have the talent that they can do it. I mean, they've got guys in that batting order between Justin Turner and Bellinger and the aforementioned Machado that they should be a real bear to deal with, but they just don't seem to get their legs under them all that much. And, if it hangs around and they're winding up in the last week of the season, they could be playing a little tight, if they're even or a game ahead or behind of either Arizona or Colorado. I don't know. The Dodgers just don't inspire a lot of confidence in me right now.
Yeah, and you look at the Boston Red Sox, I know they've slumped a little bit, losing several games in a row, and their lead shrunk a little. But for the whole season, the Red Sox have been the best team in baseball. So, it's going to be. I think we're going to have some great playoff games. That's exciting. I look forward to that. Who's going to be there? Still up in the air. Next week, the NFL starts. Is there anybody that looks like they're going to be better than you thought a month ago, and anybody you think is going to be worse than you thought a month ago?
Good question. I heard a lot of pro Los Angeles Chargers talk, and I'm starting to buy in. I think they're going to be very good. I tell you, I'm always impressed with teams that look like they could keep their season, and instead they play hard. Look at the Chargers last year. They were, 0-4. They came to the Meadowlands. They beat the Giants, and they wound up having a pretty solid season. I think the Chargers, people are talking about them, but I think they're going to be even better than we think. I think this could be a potentially 12-win team. They open up next week, Jim, as you talked about, opening week coming up. They're a 3.5-point home favorite right now to Kansas City. I know from experience where I've had the Chargers a few times over the last 3 or 4 years against the Chiefs. They've lost some tough games. A couple of times they still got to cover, but they really kind of owe the Chiefs. And I think out of the gate, the Chargers are going to be pretty good. And like I said, I would not be shocked if they're looking at maybe an 11 or 12-win season and win the AFC West. Another team that's getting good publicity and I think is going to be really good are the Saints. I know we talked a while ago, and I was thinking Atlanta was probably a little bit better than the Saints. I'm to the point now where I'm kind of hesitant to feel that still. I think the Saints could be a 12-win team this year. I think they've got a lot of key pieces in place. I know Ingram's going to be out the early part, the running back with PED use, but they can replace him with Kamara. They've got a lot of weapons. Sounds like everybody's healthy. I think the defense has gotten better. I guess I'm sounding like I'm looking at a Chargers-Saints Super Bowl, and you know what? If I had to put a buck down on it right now, I think that's what I would say. If there's a team that's, to say overrated, I don't know overrated, but I tell you what, the Eagles, they've got to be a little worried here. I don't. When they show these little clips of Carson Wentz with the knee brace on and rolling out and practicing, I don't think he looks very mobile. I really think they're a little afraid. And just from the answers that the coach Peterson has been giving to the media, he's been a little short with them in the last couple of weeks. I get the feeling they're a little scared that he's not, he's not only not ready, but he's not nearly as ready as they'd like. And I think they're a little afraid here. And Foles is a little banged up, too. So they could be a team. I mean, let's face it, anybody could have a Super Bowl hangover, especially a team like that in a city like that had never won a Super Bowl. But I would not be shocked if the Eagles get off to a bit of a slow start. I could see them losing 3 of their 4, something like along those lines, and then they'll be playing catch-up all year. So I don't want to bury them. I think they could be a 10-win team. But let's remember, as somebody pointed out in the game the other night, they were really just one play away from losing to the Falcons in that playoff round. If Matt Ryan throws a little bit better pass to Julio Jones, that whole postseason has a whole different script to it. So I think if you're the Eagles, you got to be a little worried, and I wouldn't be shocked, like I said, if they're 1-3 out of the gate, or maybe 2-4, and then they're going to be in some trouble.
Well, that's a tough division. So, with Dallas, Washington, and the Giants, they're going to be knocking each other off all year long. And I think it's going to be a tough year. I don't think anybody's going to run away with it. I do favor the Saints over the Falcons, but very close. But the AFC is, because the Patriots have a kind of a walk in the park with those 3 terrible teams in their division, I think the only team in that division that give them any kind of a tussle might be the the Jets. And that's going to be interesting with a rookie quarterback. I think the Saints picked up a lot of insurance with Bridgewater. You got Breeze, if he goes down at all. Bridgewater can play. We don't know how his leg will hold up if he gets really hit. We hope he can sustain and have a great career. But that was a terrible injury that he had. But I do think that they picked up good insurance there with him. And it's kind of like what Philadelphia had last year with Wentz and Foles. So if something happens there, now the Falcons don't have that kind of insurance policy behind Ryan. So there's a lot of things to be said for that backup quarterback, being there. So it's going to be great. It's going to be, every week we're going to get a new set of point spreads, a new set of situations, and it is a battle. Every week, it's a battle. A lot of homework, a lot of work, stats and articles and podcasts and everything else that you got to study to stay on top of it. And then, you get the breaks at the end of a game. A bad penalty, an official making a bad call, a one way or the other, a dropped ball, a dropped pass. I mean, look at how Minnesota and the Saints ended up in that fluke play at the end last year. If the Saints go on to go and end up in the Super Bowl, it could have been a whole new story. So it's going to be interesting. There's going to be drama for the next 4 or 5 months, and I love it. And
Yeah.
of course, when you mix in all the stuff that's coming on board, you're going to have the NBA and the college hoops, and you have the college football. It's already out there, so it's going to be great. Joe, you want to tell the fans out there again how to get your stuff for this weekend?
Sure will, Jim. All people have to do to get in touch with Jim Hurley's network is call us, 1-800-323-4453. Again, toll free, 1-800-323-4453. A lot of college winners. Like I said, we don't give out the whole board. We don't intend to. We're going to give you a handful of games this week, and we're going to have a good one. We started off with Northwestern last night. We like a lot of games tomorrow. We've got a couple of nice, juicy underdog sides, and we're definitely going to be getting involved in that Michigan-Notre Dame game that kicks off around 7:30, national TV. It's great that they're back playing each other after a 3-year hiatus. I'm looking forward to that. I'm all pumped up, Jim. I'm ready for the football season. It's a great, great time.
I'm with you on that. A lot of enthusiasm. My plays, of course, are at jimfeist.com. I've been doing it for almost 50 years, and we have more winners than losers. And believe me, the people have been winning lately, and they're going to be winning for the next 6 months in these sports. So go jimfeist.com, Jim Hurley Sports. Also, we'll talk to you again next week, Joe. Thank you.
Sounds good. Have a great weekend.
You too, buddy.